Hi, you guys. Hope you guys have had a good day today. Um, I wanted to share something with you. I know that I've been on a spiritual authority kick, and I am in no way saying that. Sorry. I get distracted because I don't look in the mirror a lot of times before I push the go live button. So, and then there are times that when I see my face, I realize, oh, Naomi, you should have checked the mirror first. So anyway, I am not finished talking to you about spiritual authority, but this is something that that is some practical advice, some insight concerning love and relationship that I just wanted to insert into your day. I believe that it will help you if you listen with an open mind and take it to heart. You pray about it. It's something that it's some insight, some things that the Lord has been teaching me. You know, I am engaged to be married. Tomorrow will be 1 month until my wedding day, and as some of you know, many of you know, this is going to be my second time. This is going to be my second marriage. I never thought that I would have a second marriage. I was in the first one for life. I do believe in covenant, and had no intention of marrying a second time. But such as life, things don't always work out the way that you think that they will, or the way that you hope that they will. And you have an option. You can either fall apart and say, I didn't plan for this, and just decide to stop living, or you can roll with the punches and allow the Spirit of God to heal you and pick you up and dust you off and breathe fresh life into your hope and vision, give you vision for a future that you didn't know was going to be your future, but God knew. So I have, for some time now, I have thoroughly embraced the idea of this alternate future, this alternate picture of my life that I didn't anticipate, but God did, and He has a good plan. He has a good plan, and so I have accepted that, and am excited to marry a second time. Excited to marry Ted Bassich, but as you can imagine, being in a relationship is challenging all on its own. Even the first time around, it has lots and lots of challenges, right? Can I get an amen? But when you come into a relationship after having been married one time before, there's baggage. You as much as you try to not have baggage, you both have baggage. You just do. And so a second marriage is exceptionally difficult. And so I have had, being in this relationship has afforded me the opportunity for personal growth that to a degree that I just did not count on. I didn't anticipate how much I was going to need to change and grow and allow God to stretch me and challenge me, and so there's a particular insight that the Lord gave to me. I want to say it's been a couple of weeks ago now, maybe. No, I'm sorry. It's been about a month ago. That when he showed this to me, it literally served as like a paradigm shift in my thinking and in how I function in my relationship with Ted, for the better. Now, I'm still learning how to walk out this understanding. So I'm not doing it perfectly, and I don't want to put on airs or give you any false impressions that I'm a saint in this relationship. I'm not. But this particular insight that I want to share with you has helped me tremendously. It was like a paradigm shift, like almost like starting over again. And so I'm going to try to put it in a nutshell. I'm going to try to put it in a little tiny nutshell for you. So this is what the problem was. This was the problem that I didn't realize was a problem until the Lord highlighted it for me. That I was trying to love Ted with my own love. I was trying to love him. Now, I want to say this, that in a counseling session, or maybe even in a church setting where I'm preaching a sermon to a congregation of people, I probably would have preached this very thing, and I probably have counseled this way. I'm almost certain that I have, in counseling sessions, in counseling with married people, because I've done that quite a bit, I'm certain that I've given this counsel. But just because you understand something doesn't mean that you necessarily recognize your own need to walk in a particular truth. It takes real life, and it takes kind of like an aha moment, like a moment of revelation, which is what the Lord gave me. So here was the problem. I was trying to love Ted with my own love, and feeling like I've got all this love, and I'm gonna love him. I'm gonna love him with my love. But what was happening was that because of past experiences of maybe being disappointed, feeling like there was not a balance in the give and the take in my first marriage, I was unwittingly, in trying to love with my own love, I was keeping track. I was, if you could, to kind of use an analogy, if you could picture, I'm doing tally marks in my mind of ways and moments that he's given, and then choosing to give in direct proportion to how much he's giving to me. So keeping track of how much he gives, and then willingly, freely giving in direct proportion to what he's giving. And then if there was ever a moment, oh, that's not good. If there was ever a moment when I felt like he wasn't giving in a way that I thought he needed to give, or I felt like he's withholding something that I need, then I would instinctively withhold from him. And I would not give something that he needed from me, because and felt very justified in it, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to be taken advantage of in this relationship. I'm not going to be the one to give more in this time around. I'm not giving the most. I'm not doing it. I won't be taken advantage of. And so what would always ensue is a moment of conflict, because when I'm withholding, then he's not giving, and there's a withdrawing and a withholding from each other, because we're keeping track of what the other's doing, then it creates moments of conflict. And so it felt like almost like an impasse. Like, how are we going to get around this? How are we going to navigate this landscape? Because this is not working. It was not working. And what ended up happening is that the Lord gave me a series of dreams. I had 4 dreams that He spoke to me some really profound spiritual truths, and He gave me some insight into my own heart and how I was functioning in my relationship with Ted. And He showed me in dream form, He showed me what I just explained to you, this propensity that I had to keep track of what Ted was giving, and only being willing to put myself out there in direct proportion to what he was giving. And if he withheld, then I would withhold. If he withdrew, then I would withdraw. And helped me to recognize that it was fear. That it was fear of being taken advantage of. That I was letting fear dictate to me how much I was going to give. And what the Lord spoke to me is you're going to have to decide once and for all whether or not you're going to be all in. You have to decide, and here's the thing, that this decision to be all in it doesn't require a decision on the other person's part. So He said, you're going to have to decide if you're going to be all in. And then you need to begin choosing to love Ted with my love. Because your love is failing. Your love keeps track. Your love keeps a record of wrong. Your love only gives proportionally to how much you're receiving. Your love is conditional. But my love is perfect love. My love is unconditional love. And you hold within your heart my love in spades. You have revelation of my love for you. You understand my love in a profound way. And you have the capability of loving with my love. My love is your love. So you just take the love that you've received from me and you give it back. You love with that very love. I've loved you. You've received it. Now take that love and spend it on Ted. Just spend it on Ted. And do it no matter what. No matter what. Just love. Don't keep track of what he does or doesn't do. Just love. But do it with my love. And I cannot tell you how profound of an impact. I cannot even describe to you how profound of an impact that had on my heart. It was like I went from there being this fight and this turmoil on the inside of me, this fear, unsettled feeling, and this fear of giving too much and being taken advantage of, to everything just settled down on the inside of me. The fight was dissipated. It just was quieted, and things began to change for the better between he and I, because I made a decision to be all in and to love unconditionally, to not keep track of what he does or doesn't do. And so that, my friends, is a piece of advice, some godly wisdom, that if you will take it to heart and apply it in your relationships, and it doesn't have to be in a marriage or a dating relationship, it can be with anybody, with any interpersonal relationship, this truth will improve things. It will strengthen your bonds. It will ensure a long-lasting friendship, long-lasting, healthy relationship. But if you're going to have a healthy, long-lasting marriage, I'm just going to deal with marriage because this is what I'm dealing with. You can't be afraid to be the one who loves the most or who gives the most. If you're keeping track and you're only giving in direct proportion to what your spouse is giving, then you're not loving rightly. Because real love doesn't keep track. Real love casts out all fear. God's love casts out all fear of being the one to give more than the other, or a fear of being taken advantage of. Real love says, you are worth the effort. You are worth what I have to give. You are worth the sacrifice. Whether you love me with the same intensity or you give, whether you ever give as much as I'm giving, you are worth it. And it may seem impossible, and in a manner of speaking, it is impossible if you try to do it in your own strength. If you try to love with your love that way, you can't do it, and it will frustrate you. It will frustrate you. You have to use God's love. So here's the good news. If you have union with Christ, if you've been joined unto the Lord in faith, the good news is that you have His love living on the inside of you. When Jesus joined Himself to you, He came in with all His stuff. You have the fruit of the Spirit. You have luscious, abundant fruit of the Spirit living right on the inside of you in your born-again spirit. The only thing that's needed is for you to acknowledge that you have it and then make use of it. If you don't acknowledge that you have it, if you think of yourself or you speak of yourself that I don't have enough love, I need more love, and you pray prayers, if you pray prayers, you could feel so justified and so spiritual praying a prayer, God, give me more love. How many of us have prayed those prayers? God, I need more love. Give me more love to love with. But guess what? That's not a good prayer. That prayer is actually full of unbelief. That prayer indicates how much unbelief you have in what you hold on the inside of you in your born-again spirit. If you are asking God to give you something that you actually already possess an abundance of, have an unlimited supply of, and you're asking God to give it to you, there's no glory in that. And there's no faith in that. It is actually unbelief. It testifies to a lack of understanding and unbelief in the gospel and the fact that Christ lives on the inside of you, that your body is His house. Your body is His address upon the earth. And everything that He is, the fullness of the Godhead, dwells on the inside of you. So you, darlings of God, are lacking nothing. You don't need God to give you more love. You need to start acknowledging what you have in the form of the indwelling Christ, and then choose to make use of it. So you have all of the love that you need and more. You have all of the perfect love of God that you need and more than you could possibly spend on the people around you in 1,000 lifetimes. You just have to use it. You have to choose to lean into that, to draw from that, instead of your own understanding and your own love. Your love stinks. Your love is inferior. It's like not even on the same scale as God's love. God's love is perfect love. God's love takes self out of the equation entirely. God's love just gives and gives and gives and gives and gives and gives with no idea in the back of your mind somewhere of what you're going to get in return. God's love just gives. Just like Jesus laid His life down. He died for the sin of the whole world, knowing full well that a whole heck of a lot of those people would never choose him. That there would not be, that his demonstration of love would not be reciprocated by many, 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 by millions of people. But he didn't withhold it. He didn't withhold it. He laid his life down. And here's the thing, here's something, as I've been walking this out, by the grace of God and leaning very heavily into the grace of God and his ability in me, there was an instance where I started to feel, I started to be more conscious of what I was giving and feeling like Ted wasn't giving enough, and I indulged in thoughts of fear that was telling me that I'm being taken advantage of. Fear talks. Fear is relentless. I'm just telling you. I indulged in those thoughts, and then I went to sleep, and the next morning, before I even opened my eyes, I heard the voice of God speaking to me very clearly, and he said these words. He says, no man takes my life, because I lay it down freely. No man takes my life, because I lay it down freely. And what he was saying to me in that moment, so, when he said that, I started thinking about what he was referring to, because he's referring to a place in the scriptures where he said that about himself, that nobody's taking my life from me. I'm laying my life down willingly. So I started thinking about, in the natural, what it looked like when Jesus was crucified. In the natural, it absolutely looked like Jesus was crucified unjustly. It looked like those Roman soldiers took Jesus' life, that it was not fair, he did not deserve it, and he was unjustly crucified, that they took his life. That's what it looked like. But according to Jesus, and according to the big picture in the spirit realm, based on his heart, he clarified. He set the record straight for us. He said, no man takes my life from me. And basically he was saying, I know what it looks like, guys. I know it looks like my life is being taken, but no man takes my life from me, because I'm laying it down willingly. And so what the Lord was teaching me in that moment with that particular truth is if there's ever a moment in your life, in your relationships, where you start to feel taken advantage of, that is a moment where you have lost sight of the fact that you are choosing to lay your life down. And as long as you keep at the forefront of your mind a decision to willingly give, then nobody can take from you against your will. Even if in the natural it might occasionally look like it's not even, it's not fair, you're giving more than you're receiving. It may look that way in the natural, but if you are choosing to willingly give without keeping track of what you're receiving, then nobody can take from you against your will, because you're giving it freely. Isn't that great? So I pray that helps you. I just gave you, my goodness gracious, I just gave you some really powerful truth. And that's not to pat me on the back. That's giving glory to the Lord, because he taught me this. And it has revolutionized things for me. So take this to heart. Meditate on this. Meditate on this truth. Don't be afraid to be the one who loves the most, who gives the most, and choose to love with God's love. His love is the only one that is unconditional and that casts out all fear. And you have more than enough of his love to make use of right on the inside of you. If Jesus lives in you, then you have all the love you need. Stop asking him to give you more love. You don't need it. You don't need him to give you more love. You have more than you need. Just start acknowledging that you have it, and then use it. use it. Just use it. It's like currency. You've received God's love for you. Now just take it, take that very love, and spend it on other people. It's the only way to go. It's the only way to go. It's the only way to have thriving, healthy marriage, dating relationships, relationships with your siblings, with your cousins, with your aunts and your uncles and your grandmothers and your coworkers and your friends. And you have to love with God's love, because your love is eventually going to run out, and your love has a tendency to keep track and want to make things even Steven. It's a recipe for failure. Don't fall into that trap. And if you're in that trap, make a decision to get out of it by making a decision to love with God's love. All right? All right, guys. Love you. Good night.